Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome to Completing the Maps Part 42. We are here on Mississippi as we continue going through the map and slowly exploring it as we, just keep continuing and looking for everything on the map. So, hope you guys enjoy. Oxbow Soup. An oxbow lake is a horseshoe-shaped lake that forms when the wide meander of a river is cut off. The slow-moving Mississippi is famous for its oxbows. Recent studies have found that the backwaters that form these incredibly important wetland habitats are beginning to disappear. Human activities like intensive farming, deforestation, and soil misuse increase the rate of sediment infilling in the oxbows. The sediment remains trapped within the river by levees instead of running out onto the floodplains during seasonal flooding. The oxbows will gradually fill and eventually be gone for good. This would forever alter the unique ecology of the Batcher, the woods, and the wetlands that run along the lower Mississippi. Reap what you sow. Agriculture remains the number one industry in Mississippi, even if the state is an agricultural powerhouse that it used to be. There are 34,700 farms covering 10.4 million acres, which cultivate corn and cotton as well as soybeans, rice, and wheat. Delta's rich alluvial soil, ready access to water, and relatively mild temperature make it practically well suited for farming. Monocultural production, where the same crop is grown season after season, is still common for purely economic reasons, although it's been linked to topsoil erosion and the pollution of waterways through pesticide runoff. Miss Fain. Fain A. Cook pioneered conservation practice in Mississippi. She was a researcher and a scientist who formed the Mississippi Association for the Conservation of Wildlife and led a grassroots movement to reform game laws and overhaul the state's dated county-based system of conservation management. Miss Fain, as she was affectionately known, ran traveling exhibitions throughout the state which featured her personal collection of mammals, birds, and aquatic life samples. Her efforts led to the formation of the Game and Fish Commission in 1932. Despite being eminently qualified to head the commission, she was relegated to a background role in educational work. A collection of specimens gathered in a commission survey headed by Cook formed the foundation for the Jackson State Museum's scientific inventory, and Cook spent the rest of her working life as museum director. The Mississippi Museum of Natural Science was named by Fane A. Cook Memorial Museum in her honor. The Road to Freedom. The history of Mississippi is intricately entwined with the history of the U.S. civil rights movements. What began as a couple of sporadic incidents of isolated protests for voting rights and against legally enforced segregation of black and white people in the early 1950s escalated into a determined struggle by the 1960s. By 1960, the number of organizations participating in the civil rights movement had doubled. Medgar Evers was an early leader in efforts to unite the various civil rights organizations in Mississippi, forming local chapters of the NAACP and organizing boycotts in 1961. Boycotts. In 1961, the Congress of Racial Equality began organizing freedom rides in Mississippi. These involved busing groups of black and white students into state with Jim Crow laws to test the U.S. Supreme Court decision banning segregated interstate public transportation. Local students joined the movement in Jackson. Volunteers faced violence and incidents of racial terrorism ranging from burnings to murders marked the turbulent decade. The 1964 Civil Rights Act and 1965 Voting Rights Act were milestone victories for the movement, but they came at a great personal cost to many of its leaders. Medgar Evers was assassinated in 1963. He was initially refused entry to a hospital in Jacksonville because of his race. Fannie Lou Hamer. Fannie Lou Hamer was a Mississippian civil and women's rights activist born in 1917 as the youngest child in a family of 20. Hamer grew up in poverty and spent her early life picking cotton on a plantation. She left school at the age of 12 and would remain a plantation worker up until the early 1960s. Hamer was denied the chance to start a family by a white doctor who gave her a hysterectomy without her consent during surgery to remove a uterine tumor. A procedure so common it was referred to as a Mississippi appendectomy. A couple months later, she attended a meeting led by the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee (SNCC) and began to agitate for voting rights for Black Americans. This was to be the start of an activism that would lead to her gaining national renown as well as becoming the victim of vicious police brutality. 1964, Hammer co-funded the Mississippian Freedom Democratic Party (MFDP) as an alternative to the all-white Democratic Party. The same year, she also helped organize Freedom Summer, an initiative that bussed in college students of all races to help with black voter registration in the South. Thank you guys so much for watching.